Fuel the severe weather. Winds will be the main threat, but as Jim was just mentioning, all the parameters are possible, including tornadoes. Be on the lookout for some of those heavier downpours and then maybe a little bit of flooding here as well. Let's time it all out for you and show you when we are going to see that threat here, especially in the Chicagoland area. It's really tomorrow night when everything kicks off, and it's an overnight threat, which we know are always the deadliest threats when they're overnight. So watch those storms here, 6, 7, 8 o'clock. They continue to fire as we head 9 o'clock, crossing over the lake. We then clear out really into those overnight hours, and everything pushes east towards the thumb of Michigan, which is where we pick up the story here in Detroit. 9 o'clock, you can see the storms rumbling through Pontiac, Flint, Lansing. We all get them, and it will continue to blow east as we head into the early morning hours of Wednesday. So we have 2s and 3s here on our Torcons in and around Indianapolis. But remember, it's not just tornadoes. You could have just a strong thunderstorm with hail and damaging winds that could cause damage to your property. We will be clearing out for us into the overnight hours. Louisville to Lexington. How about this track here? Along the highway, along 64. Storms kind of dropping south for us as we head through the morning hours. It looks like heavier rain for us as we have that commute to work and school, and then into the afternoon we will clear out. And in around St. Louis, storms will be popping off through tomorrow evening, and then we will clear out overnight and into our Wednesday morning as well. But St. Louis is another one of those spots, Jordan, where it's going to be very, very warm.
I know. And, you know, as we watch.
So now let's first talk about the warmth before we get to that heat, because we can see record-setting temperatures from the west to the Midwest, the south, basically nearly every quadrant except for the Northwest. And some of these records that we break could be standing for 100 years. And by the way, look at the average first date and earliest occurrence of 90 degrees in the south. We're talking temperatures that are in April-May range. Even up into Chicago, it's going to feel like it's May. This is what's wild. I was looking at Dallas this morning, and I noticed this as well. The earliest 90-degree day, January 31st. Isn't that wild? That's the earliest that we've seen 90 degrees in Dallas. That kind of blew my mind when I was looking at their Climo. Anyhow, the warmth today is going to be record-setting. I mean, look at Dallas. We could blow our record away by 5 degrees. It's hard to get to 90 this early in the season, let alone 95 degrees. Chicago, our record is 64. We could be at 67, even hotter on Tuesday. La Crosse, St. Cloud. I mean, and it's not only highs, it's also those lows as well. And remember that it doesn't take a lot to heat up. I know it's February still. It's the end of February. We shouldn't be talking about our scorching car scale, but the first car death that we had last year was in February. So keep that in mind. I mean, obviously, if it's 95 after 10 minutes, 114 degrees in the car. But even look at Minneapolis at 61 today. After 30 minutes, 95 degrees inside a car. So that is significant for us. Tomorrow, we still have that heat, but you can see the cold air coming in. That is the system that's in the northwest right now, tracking east, bringing the cooler air behind it, and then tapping into the warmth ahead of it tomorrow, Jim, to kick off that severe weather.
Step 95.
And we are going to get in fact, we have blizzard warnings here into Nevada, but multiple areas of watches and warnings throughout the Rockies here. Look at this snow that we're going to get. Great fresh powder for us. Anywhere from half a foot to a foot, even 2 feet in some places there into Colorado. In and around Salt Lake City, just off to the east into the Wasatch. Park City, that's where Park City, if you ever wonder where Park City is, that's where it's located. It's actually not too far from Salt Lake. Super doable drive, pretty easy drive to get up to Park City. Just a lot of highways, I mean, where when you're going to some of these ski resorts, some of them are very windy, kind of smaller roads, but Park City is pretty easy to get to. There are those winds Jordan was mentioning as this system ejects east. That's in the northwest today. It brings snow and then eventually that severe weather for us into the Midwest as we head later in the day on Tuesday. Denver, it doesn't look like we're going to get loads of snow. It's going to be mainly to the south and then off to the west. I really have the sneezes today. That's my second.
God bless you. Yeah, hey, you know what? Pollen's coming out. We know it.
I know. All right, here we go. Let's have a look at your timing. Sorry for that distraction. And I also want you to notice the topography. Look how Denver's kind of flat. It might be high up, but it's not very mountainous. You have to go west on 70 to really get into those mountains. That's where we'll see the snow. Otherwise, it is rain for us mainly into the Denver area. But you can see the topography on the map. You see how Denver is super flat? And then you go west and just boom, you just hit it right here. There's Boulder, and then there's all the mountains for us. So it's kind of pretty cool to see that. I don't think we're going to get loads of snow in the Midwest with this, mainly because it's very warm. But, Jim, this system behind it is going to pull in some frigid air for us. Doesn't last very long, though.
It doesn't.
Fueled by record warmth, we are forecast to break 90 in Texas today. Cities like St. Louis will be close to 80, but all this heat, Jim's not going to last very long.
No, those spring temperatures.
And that's when the cold air is coming in, so keep that in mind, too, Jim.
Right.
Might be done with the storms, but there's always something else. Thanks to our virtual view technology, I'm standing in Olive Park in Chicago, where it will be a warm start to the week. Chicago could feel like May. I'm talking mid to late May with highs near 74 degrees. So all that warmth is going to bubble up, clouds and storms moving in. The warm temps helping fuel the severe threat. Wind will be one of those bigger threats, hail, but we can't rule out tornadoes either. Be on the lookout for some of these heavier downpours that could cause some localized flooding. So let's get to it here and time it out for us as we cross the board. And first, a look at Chicago. And as you go northbound from there, Waukegan, it's going a little lesser as we go north. But as we go south, that's where we have that bigger threat for us. Hail could certainly be one of the parameters that we have to deal with. And there's your cells coming through around 7 o'clock going north. And then we get that other real kind of line coming through around that 8, 9 o'clock hour. Then we're finished. At least you can go to sleep here and not have to worry about the severe weather. Not the case as we go farther east, because the storms will be lasting overnight. That's when they're the most deadliest, by the way. 9 p.m. just coming in through Ann Arbor, making their way here up the highway, getting into Detroit as well. 94 crossing over U. That is still on the northern reaches of 75 around 11 o'clock. And then we don't really clear out until very early Wednesday morning. So you might have some extra children, some extra pets in bed with you with those thunderstorms that are rumbling through. Indianapolis, we're about a 2 on our Torcon. The higher the threat, the higher the number. But even a 2 or 3, I mean, you can't rule out a tornado coming through. So that's something to keep in mind as we go through the morning hours. How about riding along 64, Louisville to Kentucky, very heavily traveled highway here. Storms for us, notice they're going to be kind of very early Wednesday morning into that getting ready for school and work time period. And it doesn't clear through us all of the rain until around 10, 11 o'clock, depending on where you are from west to east on here. Into St. Louis we go, another hot spot for the next couple of days into the near 80-degree heat for us. And we will see this blast through us a little bit sooner because we're a little bit farther west. Jordan.
Well, we'll be watching that
huge drop. Before we get to that cold air, let's talk about the warmth, because you're going to be basking. Remember I said it's going to feel like it's May in some places? Look at Atlanta. Our average first 90-degree day is May 31st. Dallas is April 19th. We could get to 95 degrees today. What's even more shocking is this. Our record earliest 90-degree day is January 31st. That was shocking to me. I just didn't think it would be that early for Dallas. I knew it'd be early, but January 31st is wild. So not only are we going to break our record, Jim was saying how 95. Jim, did you verify?
Yeah, Love Field.
Love Field.
DFW
okay.
is 96.
Okay.
So we're close, you know.
Yeah, if we hit 95 at Love Field, that will be the all-time February high for us here into Dallas. Fort Smith will be closed. Oklahoma City, it is going to be hot all the way up into places like Chicago, where it's going to be even hotter tomorrow, by the way. But we will start to cool off with our system from the northwest that's coming in. That'll drop us off. Now, remember, yes, obviously, if it's hot, with inside the car, it could get to 120 degrees in just 30 minutes, but it doesn't have to be in the 90s. Look at Minneapolis at 61. In 30 minutes, it could be 95 degrees in the car, and that has to do with the wavelength coming in, interacting with everything in the car, the wavelength changing and not being able to get out the windows. So make sure you don't leave any pets, humans, nothing in the car, even when it's 61 degrees. Because, by the way, our first hot car death was in February last year. There's our record highs tomorrow, dotting the map yet again here from the south to the Midwest. Dallas, 90 degrees again tomorrow with a record of 85. And there's your 70 tomorrow into Rockford. Chicago could be a little bit hotter, Peoria, 74. And notice tomorrow, you see that cooler air coming in. That blasts through Wednesday, but the East Coast still stays on the warm side for us here. Rapid City, we're going to go from 66 on Tuesday to 22 degrees. Jim, that's our high. And you're talking about a 40-degree drop. That hurts.
I can't do it, Abrams. I just can't.
Lines begin in Florida. And it's going to be a chilly rain at that. Look at New York, Tuesday night 51, though temperatures will drop with this system down into the 30s. So that'll be even rougher Wednesday night as we head into our Thursday morning. So here's the rain moving into the Midwest for our Tuesday. And you'll see it really continue Tuesday into Wednesday. That system really gets its kind of act together as it moves east. There's a potential for some flash flooding tomorrow through Wednesday morning for us here. I think it'll be localized, and there it goes sweeping through Wednesday evening. There's your rain, and don't forget behind this cooler temperatures, so maybe a little bit of snow, but we are going to feel it. It will be drier on Thursday, but it'll be colder, and we do have a lot of rain coming down, 1 to 2 inches of it here from Kentucky, spreading up to the eastern lakes, a little bit of snow. I don't know, it just seems like we don't see the signals of really cold air getting in. I know we can't sleep on March, but it just doesn't look like we've got any really cold air coming in, cold enough to support snow. Now, yes, it is Wednesday night, but we are dry in Pittsburgh by Wednesday night. And so we have to keep that in mind, that we do have the mild temperatures. That's when all the precip comes in. But once that blows through and the colder air gets pulled in behind that with our system, we dry on out here. And there's just, I got to tell you, as we head, through the week, those warm temperatures rebound real quick, Jordan.
Well, as we continue to...
We're going to see where we're going to see it, who's going to see it. And notice the Rockies will get some really good snow. We do have blizzard warnings here into Nevada, so keep that in mind. And there it is, 2 feet of snow. Great news for all the ski resorts here trying to do some spring skiing. This is really the only place we've had, cold enough air to get some of this snow. By the way, if you ever wonder where Park City, Utah is, there it is. There's Salt Lake. And it's basically just to the east. There's some decent, good, long highway driving to get to Park City. So that's a positive, because some of the times you fly into Denver to go west into some of these ski resorts, and it can get windy and a little desolate at times. There's your snowfall as we head into this evening, and those winds starting to pick up. Of course, higher elevations will have higher wind gusts. This is all then going to be pushing east as we head through the day, and it will cause the severe weather. But don't worry, we actually stay quite active in the west here. Denver not really getting a lot of snow, and I just want to point out the topography. Look how Denver is flat. Yes, it's a mile-high city, and when I first went to Denver years ago, I was expecting Denver to be this whole mountainous area and everything. It's really not. Yeah, exactly. Like, wah, wah. You got to go west to hit that elevation, and when you do, it is stunning. And a lot of people say when you ski in the east and then you go west, your jaw's on the floor, because the Rocky Mountains, listen, the Appalachians are great. There's great skiing even in the Midwest, but there's just something about how beautiful these Rockies are. And mind you, go see them in Alaska and they go to the next level. So they are just stunning, stunning mountain range that we have here. And we'll get a little bit of snow for us into Denver, but it's pretty warm there. As this streaks into the Midwest and Northern Plains, I don't think we're going to get loads of snow with this. It's just been so warm. But Jim, the system that is in the Northwest today goes through the Rockies, goes into the plains, pulls in this air for places like North Dakota.
Yeah, no thanks.
Fueled by record warmth, we are breaking into the 90s in Texas today. Cities like St. Louis close to 80, but all this heat, it's not going to last very long. Jim?
Yeah, breaking in.
Which, by the way, is Arabic origins, Noor. And it means light, divine light, brightness. That's the meaning of Noor. So there you go.
Thank you.
There you go. Some technology. I'm standing in Olive Park in Chicago, where it will be a warm start to the week. I'm talking hot. It's going to feel like May in Chicago on Tuesday. Then we're going to see clouds and storms and rain move in that Jim was just talking about. All this warmth will help fuel that threat of severe weather, and you could get possibly some heavier downpours that maybe could cause some flooding. Watch out also for tornadoes. Be on the lookout for that. Let's time it out not only for Chicago, but several other cities. Our Torcon here is a 3. The higher the number, the higher the threat. But I don't want you to just be like, nah, it's at the low end of the scale. We don't have to worry about it. Even though it is a 3, you still could have a spin up, and that still could be problematic. Let's show you when that happens. And it blows through essentially as we head around dinner time tomorrow up into Wisconsin. We'll see stronger storms come through Chicago, 8, 9 o'clock as well. And then we can actually go to sleep and sleep soundly, because the worst of the weather will be off to our east. How about Chicago, Port Huron, as we're going on the highways here, 94, up 75 as well. There comes the rain in, 7, 8, 9 o'clock. Ann Arbor, crossing over there, the highway there, and it's going to continue to push north, and we will start to see another line come through, and then we clear out actually kind of in the middle of the night for us, or early morning if you do some shift work. You could still be dealing with those storms. 2s and 3s for our Torcons around Indianapolis. That threat for tornadoes goes down as we go south, but look at these big boomers here. I wouldn't rule anything out in and around Indianapolis. Very heavy rain, hail, gusty winds with this stuff as well. We will be clear of this as we head into our Wednesday morning. This is starting Tuesday night at 10 p.m., so 64 between Louisville and Lexington. You got 75 here as well. Our line of storms comes through very early Wednesday morning. If you're thinking about doing an early morning run, then you might get rained out. We still have heavy showers here as we hit that 9 o'clock hour, right when all the meetings start, and then everything clears out as we head around lunchtime, which is great. St. Louis, we get it basically Tuesday evening, and then we'll be out of it because we are so far west. You'll still get a few clouds and showers, but I think it's a cool air, Jordan, that's really going to hit everyone hard here with this system.
Yeah, I mean, look at the way.
So let's talk about the warmth, because we are going to be feeling that heat ahead of all that cold air. Look at our temperatures. Now, not only are these going to be records, it's going to feel like it's July in Dallas. Jim just said, oh, we're jumping right into spring. I said, spring, forget that. We're going into summer. This is wild. July 3rd is what it will feel like here in Dallas. I know it's supposed to be hot in Dallas, just not this hot. If we hit 95 at Love Field, that'll be tied the hottest February record here at Love Field. The heat goes all the way up into places like Fargo. We could break a record. St. Louis, I mean, across the board, it is going to be 30, 35 degrees above average. With that said, it's February. You wouldn't think we need to take out our scorching car scale, but we have to, because last year our first hot car death was actually in February, and we could see that again today. Dallas at 95 after 10 minutes, 114 degrees. Doesn't have to be that hot. Look at Minneapolis, 61 for a high after 30 minutes. 95 degrees. So it can get really hot really fast inside these cars. And notice record highs continue into tomorrow, pushing deeper here into the Northeast. Dallas, again, our record tomorrow is 85. We could be 90. So a touch cooler, but it is still feeling like summer. And up into the Midwest, Detroit, we could be 3 degrees above our record. Green Bay, we could be 7 degrees above our record. It's just shocking. But as that cool air that Jordan was mentioning, it does come in into Wednesday in the Midwest. But we stay hot here east of the Mississippi. Jim.
Hot. This Monday edition of America's Morning Headquarters.
Dry and windy conditions. Hours. Dr. Greg Postel is here with a preview of what's coming up at 9 a.m. Who do you have on your crew today?
Well, you know, we have Alex and I. Maybe things that aren't stories now could become stories in the next couple days. One of those being, wow, are we done with winter? Look how cold it is.
That's the big question.
Right? We have a blast coming in this week, but are there more coming in March? Maybe late March? Don't like close off winter right now.
Like, no. So these are going to be more like. That's true. He's done, which is not done. So these are more like, you know, on the horizon, a little bit long range, attempting to look at what's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, things that maybe aren't stored topics to maybe mess with.
Everyone wants to talk about this. Everyone asks, right? Are we done with winter?
Right? I hear that all the time.
All the time. All the time. Yeah. But it's been cold up there. It just never really got down to us.
And the funny thing is that when it's super cold up there, oftentimes we're warm here in the lower 48. That kind of works out. Just saying.
Just saying.
Dr. Postel, thank you.
Yeah.
Everyone get excited for that. It's going to be coming up on the next hour. Yep. Let's get you guys out the door here if you're in the Northeast.
Coast forecast and the T-Mobile Coast to Coast forecast, and give you a peek at temperatures in your area as you plan your travel for the weekend ahead. So here it is. We do have a system coming in the northwest today. There's also a low here that's helping to throw some moisture into California. This system will make its way through the Rockies as we head into tomorrow, and also bring us that threat for severe weather Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. That whole system is along the East Coast as we head into our Wednesday and Thursday. Lots of wind with that, and we just reset. We continually reset here in the Northwest with more unsettled weather. Friday, showers here into the southeast, but look at the warmth across the country. And then more of the same as we head into our weekend on both coasts. We can't really catch a break. Sunday, there it is again, coming into the west. And we're going to stay beautiful, though, in places like Chicago, where the heat jumps right back up.
All right, guys, the day at the beach turned tragic last week for an Indiana family visiting Florida.
To flock to beaches for summer break, or spring break, I should say, and the summer months. Let's welcome national spokesperson for the American Lifeguard Association, Wyatt Wernick. Wyatt, sorry to have you, on such a tragic story here that we need to talk about. While rare, people do end up buried and dying in the sand. It isn't unheard of. So how often does this happen?
Well, sand is loose, as we know, and I'm looking at the hole. We're watching it here. Explain what happened.
Always fill your hole, if you dig one before you leave the beach. I always thought because someone could break an ankle if they don't see the hole and they step in it. What are the other dangers associated with holes on the beach?
Well, absolutely.
Wyatt, I want to ask you about 30 seconds left. Where are we with lifeguards? Are people coming back in now? Have we done enough to recruit lifeguards and more importantly, train them?
I'm glad you asked that, Jim, because
Wyatt Wernick, the national spokesperson for the American Lifeguard Association. Really think you coming on
Wyatt.
to educate us on this.
The best statement he said, leave it as you found it.
Yeah, period.
All right, that's it. Pick up trash, straighten out the,
Pick up after your dogs, Jordan.
Everything. Leave the holes filled up.
Oh, that's a big one. Pick up
after mountains, obviously 60, maybe 70-mile-an-hour gusts in the higher elevations, and also snow. Blizzard warning here just south of 80 in Nevada for us. As we look across the board through tomorrow, up to 2 feet of snow for us coming down into the mountains. There's Salt Lake City. South of there, you have some higher elevation. We get a couple inches. East of there, you got Park City. That's where obviously we've got higher elevation. You'll be able to squeeze out a little more snow for us. Here comes our system. It's from the northwest, diving through, and it gets into the plains as we head into our Tuesday evening, causing that threat for severe weather. But there's the snow that comes on through. It moves through fairly quickly, but then there's another one behind it. We actually stay quite active here in the west. So you get maybe a little of a break, and then more will come through. Denver, Mile High City, yes, we sit at a mile up, but it's not super mountainous, and that means that we're not going to get loads of accumulation. You're going to have to go west. That's where you run into the mountains. I-70 west takes you to up all of those beautiful ski resorts that we have here into Colorado. This all really comes in as we go through our Tuesday morning, perhaps rain for Denver, a little snow mixed in as well. Not a lot accumulating, though, into the city Centennial, down to Castle Rock, perhaps. And as it streaks across the Midwest, perhaps Minnesota will be the best bet for some of the snow with that cold air coming in behind this system. And let me show it to you. Fargo, North Dakota, Monday night 12, Tuesday 16. Tuesday night to Wednesday morning will be at 2 below, not to mention the winds that will be blowing with this. And so you are going to have that wind chill that's going to be a lot colder than that. So chilly air coming in place, Jim, behind this doesn't last very long. We're going to pop right back above average fairly quickly here, actually.
Yeah, we're going to be rinsing and